Today I'm inspired by the blossom of a tree. I think it's dogwood, but I don't know the trees yet in North Carolina. I am inspired by this, and I have the background grayish, warm gray cloth. The flowers wilt, so carve yourself 2 days to make this painting, and then you can finish it off later. I have a 20 by 24 primed linen, and I ground it with Quinacidrone Nickel Azo Gold. It's a goldish acrylic paint, very transparent, very powerful, high chroma. And the day before, I primed it with the acrylic paint. Very thin layer. Now I'm going over it with oil and a thin brush. That's the way I draw, and that's the way it works for me. If you need to use a pencil or charcoal or whatever you want, that's fine. Doesn't matter, whatever works for you. I like this because you can wipe it off easy and you still see what is behind there. You never wipe it off completely, but charcoal does that too. So find the best way that you can work this and spend time on the drawing itself. I would urge you not to use a photograph because the interpretations of maybe even the mistakes, people might call it mistakes, that you're making by drawing it yourself is going to reveal a little bit of your personality, which a photograph does not. So now you're going to make your own drawing. Take time for it. Then you can do another one that you can see the values of the dark is dark and the light is light. But you can also do that already when you start painting. I mean, you don't have to make an underpainting first unless you have no time at all to work on this, only in batches of 1 or 2 hours a day. Then I would suggest that you make an underpainting with all the values with raw umber and white. So then before the leaves, the petals will fall off or start curling, you already have everything set up. Then you get another branch, which will look totally different, but you have already set up everything the way it was before. Now you just have to look at the colors, the true colors of the new branches. That's a way that would work absolutely beautiful. It took a long time for me to find the color of the background, and I made many mistakes. Like this is too blue. I made it warmer with alizarin crimson and lemon yellow. And the idea is that I'm going to leave a little bit of the gold acrylic untouched. That way it has more atmosphere, more warmth, and the blue will stand out. The blue of the shadow part of the flowers, I mean. Some painters make a solid background. I don't want to do that. And I also want to flare the edges a little bit because flowers are living things. Flowers move. The light moves on top of them, and that's what I want to show by softening the edges in a way that it feels like the flowers are moving. In order to do that, you have to have a fat layer. Otherwise, it would not work. Then you go over it with a dry brush, and it's just not working. You will see what I'm talking about once you do it. So what I do now really is add suggestions for the background, add some movement, but later I'm going to use the creases of the cloth that were not ironed out completely to make a more interesting background. I also found out that the pure alizarin crimson is too cold. It's too cold of a color. So I am adding a little bit of cadmium yellow, medium. Now the good thing about alizarin crimson is it makes for a very dark red and it stays pure in its color. So the 3 flowers that I'm not going to flare are the 3 focal points. They have the highest contrast and they have the sharpest edges. And you see already now that the red will become a little bit warmer. It's all subtle. I'm not going to add too much in the color, in the shadow parts, because the shadow part should be cool, as an alizarin crimson is a cold red. The background now is a lot warmer. I got rid of the blue and I added the creases, how the light is falling on top of the sheet or fabric that I used. I also start using a very thin brush here to make the finish, to finish the lightest light of the petals itself, but also how the sun hits it, in order to show where the sun hits the most. I also add a little bit of lemon yellow into the white to show where the lightest light of the sun hits the flower. And by the way, also the leaves. The leaves, the color of the leaves I made with mixing Viridian with cadmium yellow medium. And in the darkest part actually it's almost black, which the pointed leaves do have that. It's actually, the leaves are pretty interesting, I found. Now, this could be a study before I go outside and really go to the tree itself and do a plein air painting. But today it's raining, so I cannot even do that. But how the tree itself carries the branches and carries the blossoms is more beautiful than what I'm painting here right now. So I probably will do that. But this is a great way to study it in the studio, in the cool or the warmth, whatever you have it, to study how the leaves go, how the branches go, and the color of the petals of the flowers themselves. Now when I go outside tomorrow or any other day when it's dry and not too hot or too cold, then I already have that knowledge which was going to help me to do the rest. So this might have another episode that I will be outside with the mountains in the background to see how these blossoms are when they are still attached to the leaves. What else can I say about this? This is all in one sitting, by the way. This is all in one day, but it's a full day. And many of you will not have a full day to spend on this. So if you need more time, you leave it alone. You can even let it dry and then start the next layer. Remember always, this is oil paint. Do lean, fat over lean. So when you do the first layer, mix it with Gamsol or Neomigilp, which is a faster drying medium, and then wait until the next day, let it dry, feel if it's dry, and add a little bit of linseed oil and then do it really fat. So there are different ways that you can approach this. I did it again like all in one sitting, which is kind of nice because the sun actually changed everything a little bit. I used daylight. This is all done by daylight. And in the afternoon, the light became much more beautiful, how it hit the leaves and how it hit the petals. See what you can do. And again, I think there will be definitely a follow-up on this. If you want to take another blossom, you have different blossoms, please do. I let some of the flowers fade into the background. I like that better, otherwise it looks too stark like a photograph. I don't want to mimic a photograph. I really want it to be a painting. But you also have your own personality of painting this. I think the most important thing is that you work from nature and you really study how everything looks like. So I would say there's another 4 minutes to watch this video, and then start your own. The size really doesn't matter. You can also do it on smaller sizes, like a 10 by 10 or 14 by 11, whatever you have. Take a composition, make a composition, and make it your own. Enjoy, and happy spring. This is the Appalachian spring. See you later.